Have Your Say, Hobsons Bay is a series of stories and experiences of people who live, work and play within the municipality of Hobsons Bay. Let's hear how their lives were changed because of COVID-19.
Have your say, Hobsons Bay.
Hi, I'm Lauren from Anecto Speakers Bank, and I use she, her pronouns. Just before we get started, I would first like to begin our session by acknowledging the traditional owners and custodians of the land in which we meet today and pay my respects to their elders past, present and emerging. Sovereignty has never been ceded. It always was and always will be Aboriginal land. So today we're here with Dr Mark Brophy from Williamstown Community Education Centre. Mark, do you mind sharing a bit about yourself and what you do at the community centre?
Yeah, thanks, Lauren. As you said, my name's Mark Brophy. I'm the manager and CEO of Williamstown Community and Education Centre. I've been there about 10 years. We have two sites. We've got Joan Turner House in Williamstown, named after first Victorian woman premier, Joan Turner. We've got Spotswood Community House in Spotswood. We also deliver programs out of Altona North Library. We have delivered programs out of Altona Meadows Library and Dulcie Shore House. So we're sort of spread in that inner western area. We're a registered training organisation. We provide childcare. We do accredited training in English as an additional language. We run the Skills for Education and Employment program. A lot of community activity, venue hirers. We have monthly barbecues, weekly morning teas. We have food relief, emergency relief, lots of recycling programs, repurposing, book swap, seed swaps. We've got garden beds. Most of our clients are either mild intellectual disabilities, MIDs, we call them. We have our cohort is a lot of mature age people, elderly people who do a lot of computer courses. So life has gone from computers being not a want, but a have to with MyGov and online health and their tax. So we've found a lot of people who have missed the boat with IT and need help with even vaccination certificates. So we run nearly every day of the week, morning and afternoon, is introduction to computer courses. And we have a lot of migrants and refugees as well. So English language classes, and we cater for those people. And the childcare. So that's the main cohorts we have, and we're covering all that area from Altona North, all the way through to Williamstown, Spotswood, and Newport. So we've got quite a big coverage. We've got 22 staff and probably hundreds of students. So there's a fair big bunch of stakeholders we're responsible to: Victorian government, local council, federal government with the Skills for Education and Employment. So we're wearing a lot of hats. So it's a big job, but I've got a good team. So that's basically the centre in a nutshell. Yeah.
That's amazing. Yeah, very diverse and very, I suppose, reflects your community as well.
Yeah.
What you're offering, yeah.
People don't realise, but in Williamstown there's a lot of public housing. As you know, there's Nelson Heights, Floyd's Lodge, and a lot of public housing. People see the veneer of Williamstown as being maybe elite, but there is quite a diverse range of people in Williamstown, a lot that need our centre and need our assistance and help. So we've got demand is quite high, for us.
So, with this in mind, what do you think some of the rewards and challenges have you encountered through managing these various programs and various community centres?
Yeah. Look, the challenges are the myriad of stakeholders. Some people think that, some people assume that we're council run. We're actually an incorporated association, which means we have members, and the members go onto a committee, and they're volunteers, my committee, with the treasurer, president, vice president, secretary. And then they hire me, and then I hire the staff. So the challenges is it's community driven. They're good people. A challenge is to get good committee members. The other thing is the challenges are we're so diverse that you never know what's going to happen each day to day. And we're under a lot of regulations, like Victorian Regulation Quality Authority that audit us. With the childcare regulations, new childcare regulations came in this year. we've got quite an extensive policies and procedures. A lot of our work is being held accountable to stakeholders because we get a lot of philanthropic projects too. Like at the moment, we've got a grant from Australia Post, Hobsons Bay Community Fund, Bendigo Bank, where we run different projects. So we're responsible to actually apply for money, carry out projects and then acquit them. We're responsible for the regulations in childcare. We've got Neighbourhood House Victoria. We're a neighbourhood house, so we're responsible for that. For our federal government training, state government, all the legalities to do with being an incorporated association. We get financially audited every year. So they're the challenges. I often say it's quite a challenging job, but there's also the rewards because I know that myself personally working in a not-for-profit area where, you know, we make a surplus, not a profit every year, which is good. We have to. But the money goes back to the community in somehow. So my work every day is for the community and it gives to the community. And not only does it provide services and projects and programs for the community and local people, but it provides work for the staff, opportunities for volunteers, many of the staff's family, they consume in the, so even from an economic perspective, they consume in the local area, we buy goods, we buy materials, we help local industry, cafes, restaurants, catering, the goods that we have, computers, IT, print, so everything we purchase helps economically within the community too. So we've got a lot of connections with business. Like I was involved in, there was a team put together through council when the pandemic happened and closed down, and I was representing the not-for-profit sector. They had building, construction, they had transport, representatives from restaurants. So that's the rewards. It's hard work, it's a challenge, but the rewards are intrinsic, and I couldn't think of a better job. Even though as difficult as it is, I couldn't think of a better job than what I'm doing now. I love it. That's it. It's the best job I've ever had. I've been doing it for 10 years, although there has been significant challenges along the way. Yeah, but it's good. I enjoy it.
Yeah. Well, I suppose if you're really passionate about helping others and, you know, very, you want to see people grow and you want to help foster their growth as well, like you got to do the hard stuff, I guess, you know, push for social justice and change.
Yes, no, it's not easy, but it's very, very rewarding.
Yeah. So the big question, the big elephant in the room, how has COVID affected everything?
Well, that's interesting because when it first came out, I guess that I had a lot, everything happened at the same time. So people talk about pivoting, but what I was really glad about is the staff were able to accept the challenges and we were problem solving continuously. Like everything from, you know, whether it's 4 square metres per person or 2 square metres, whether to wear a mask or not, we had to correspond to parents in childcare. We had a list. We had to correspond to teachers and staff. We had to correspond to students. Then we had to correspond to rental people and hirers and venue hirers. And we had to get COVID safe plans off everybody, put the signage up, trying to get sanitizer, trying to get masks, working out the checking in, the QR. I mean, as I said, a lot of people have got are not IT savvy. So even checking in was a difficult. If you think about the last 2 years, and we opened, closed, opened, closed. Every time we open and close, and I always say, I'd wake up in the morning, look at the news, and there'd be some announcement, and then I'd wait for the memo to come in from the department later on that day, whether it was early childhood education centres, whether it was from the Department of Training or Department of DFFH or wherever it was. And then I'd have to interpret that memo and then send out an email to all the stakeholders before somebody comes in and goes, oh, Mark, do we need to wear masks today or not? Oh, Mark, what's the distancing? Oh, do we need to wear masks in the classroom? Do the teachers need to wear masks? Do we need to temperature check the kids? And so it was constant change, but the staff stood up and they were really good and they changed. We did things like, I think you remember we weren't allowed to go a certain distance away from your home. So I had to do work permits for teachers to drive the excess kilometres from their house to drop off study packs to students. And we had a system at one stage where students come in once a week, collected a study pack, did the work and dropped it off. And we couldn't do that. So then we mailed them out. And then we had them dropping off. We had teachers meeting students in parks. It was like covert operations in how we engage stakeholders. And then it's interesting, we've got a lot of venue hirers that do everything from yoga to Adam Turnbull acting to art classes, all sorts of things. And they were going broke, a lot of them, because they weren't able to run programs. And they weren't a lot of small local businesses offering classes. And so we did get a grant off council to subsidise their rent for when we did come back. So we subsidised their rent by half for a whole year, and that helped them pick up. Well, when the lockdown occurred 2 years ago, so I've had 2 years of this, we had to reposition ourselves. We had to work out how to deliver training to students offline, online. Some of them weren't IT savvy, so we had study packs, which they collected. They did homework and returned them. Then we had to mail them to them. We had teachers meeting students in parks, and each teacher had a different way depending on what they wanted to do, and they had to get the permits to travel outside their zones. So dropping off things to letterboxes, picking them up. Then we had to follow all the rules and regulations every time we did open, with distancing and vaccination and QR check-in. As I said, we had a lot of students who were mature aged and culturally and linguistically diverse. So literacy poor, language poor, IT knowledge not up to scratch. So everybody went to Zoom, but a lot of these people didn't even have a computer. Some don't even have a mobile phone, or they don't know how to do it. So it's hard enough for us people who are technically savvy, but a lot of our clients are extremely disadvantaged. So that was a big challenge. But the main thing is the staff were able to work at home. We got set up really quickly with our IT all at home, so that was good. We were going in and out of the office when we could. It was just following regulations, guidelines, directions, memos coming in from state level, federal level, across all areas, childcare, training, etc. But I guess so the 2 years has been challenging, but we got through it, and it's interesting. We got through it so well that we actually won the Victorian Training Award last year. So,
congratulations.
Yeah, and we had another staff member, one of our teachers, become Learn Local Teaching Practitioner finalist in the Learn Local Awards in Victoria, and we had one of our staff, Talia, who became the Hobsons Bay City Council 2022 Youth Citizen of the Year Award. So we achieved a lot during the pandemic. We actually hired more staff, so we increased our staffing levels. We met all contract obligations. We increased our surplus as well. So we were able to operate very efficiently. We wouldn't have been able to do it if I didn't have the talented staff. And I was really very proud of how they'd problem solved. We worked together almost daily. We had a new challenge, and we'd sit on the phone or Zoom, and how do we communicate? How do we change things? We had to be ahead of the game the whole time. But that helped, a good, talented group of staff and people that were able to change. So it was difficult, but we got through it. And now we've got more numbers. It's only 2 weeks into the term. We've got record number of students, highest number of childcare placements we've had for 3 years. People have come back in their droves. So it's back to normal, but now it's busy in a different way, back to the old way it was a couple of years ago. Change.
That's amazing. What do you think the kind of impact of COVID would have had on your community members during this time?
I think isolation was one of the biggest effects. I think that, a lot of clients we have, it's not just the courses and the classes they're doing, but it's a social activity as well. And that mental health side of things where, we've got students that come to class often, half an hour before class, and they'll sit in the foyer and have a cup of tea and read the papers and talk to each other. And as I said, we have the morning teas every Wednesday. We've got a walking group. We have a barbecue once a month. So it's not just learning English or learning computers or the other programs we run. The asset of it is that interconnectedness. I think with the lockdowns, there was the isolation, the loneliness. It was palpable, and us trying to just, like with the teachers, for example, they were running classes like a 2.5 hour class. And I'd say, just use the 2.5 hours anywhere in the week. Don't worry about the timetable. Just connect, call, Zoom, anything you can. Pigeon, write, whatever you can. To link in with these people, just let them know we're here and we're supporting them. And when we reopen, we'll welcome them back. The community suffered, I believe, a lot. And I think, I mean, even the staff, even myself, I think it was a very stressful time. And I think that it will take time to heal from that. I think there's been damage that people don't see internally. But the actual good thing was, there was one good thing about the Zoom with the staff is one of the staff had an idea, we'll get all the staff together on Friday in a Zoom and just have an informal chat and do a couple of games and just not work related, sort of social on Friday afternoon drinks on Zoom. And the interesting thing was that because we're running across different sites and we're running across different times, there's some staff that don't even see other staff. So we might be working on a Monday, Tuesday, some we might be working on a Friday. And we have Christmas functions and mid-year functions where they meet. But this was a weekly thing where everybody was there. And what I found when we came back is the relationship between staff. They know each other more, and that relationship has actually grown. So I didn't believe there'd be a benefit, but the benefit is these people now know each other more, and I can feel it and see it at the centre, whereas these people might have been work colleagues, but strangers, but now they know each other, and they'll talk about family and life and who's got COVID, who hasn't, and about rubbish bins in the Hobsons Bay, what goes in what bin, and the traffic at North Altona boom gates and all the regular topics that we used to talk about. Yeah, so that's what happened over the lockdowns. Yeah,
that's amazing.
Yeah.
I guess moving forward past, out of restrictions easing and all that, what do you think is still remaining in terms of keeping COVID safe?
That's a good question. That's a good question. I think you hear a lot of these people have had a gutful and had enough of it, but it's still around. But my thinking is that and everybody's different. Some people, I mean, during this whole episode, I could tell some staff students were frightened, were scared, were petrified, and some were anti-vaxxers, and some were, the masks are not worth it. So the whole spectrum, from petrified to don't care. I think what I'm seeing now is a sort of, I've had enough, and I just want to get back to what I'm doing. We've had, like in the past, we started, as I said, this is the third week of the term. First week, we had one staff member off for a week with COVID, but they came back, they were fine, off for a week. Another staff member got COVID, they're off for a week, they come back, they were fine. So it seems to, and I know probably a lot of people listening to this would know a lot of people, but from our experience, I've seen that it lasts about a week. It's not nice, but people tend to recover and they come back. The other thing is that, the thing with the rapid antigen testing, we were lucky one of our staff, their mum worked in aged care, so she gave us a few. We got some through a Department of Education and Training for our childcare staff. Then we've got Western Health now and Council. They're going to give us 100 antigen tests, and we've got to distribute those to our students. So, so post the lockdowns, I think it's just being as careful as we can, getting people tested, take them home. If you're feeling ill, get yourself a test. We've got them. We've got the masks. We've got more sanitizer. You can have a swimming pool full of sanitizers. We've got gloves, everything else. So I think I'm hopeful, fingers crossed, that we don't have anything else happen. But I think everybody was hopeful for 2 years, and there was always something around the corner. So I wouldn't be surprised if something happened. But I'm just hoping that that we can continue on and things get better. But who knows? Who knows? But all we can do is what we can do: follow regulations and do what we can. Yeah.
Hopefully now at this point, almost 3 years into the pandemic, that we have at least gotten to somewhat of a COVID normal that is maintainable. So I just had one last question for you. So going back to the flexible thinking and strategies you and your staff members and other volunteers kind of had to come up with to adapt to COVID, and kind of like continuing on with the programs and services you provided, what would you say, like the different types of strategies you use, what is sticking for like future programs and services, and what has like molded, I guess, your strategies in facilitating other programs?
Yeah, good question, Lauren. I think that, and I'm trying to put a positive bent on this, but I think that the 2 years we've had has been like a pause on everything. So it's allowed me and the team, the staff, to work out new and better ways to do things. It's like having, I mean, in some respects, it's like a timeout and a readjustment. So I think we've brought in new programs and new systems. Like we've got a program 1-to-1, which is sponsored by council, where we help out those that are, their IT levels are so low they can't even go into a basic IT. I mean, these are people that can't use a mouse. So we're teaming up with people, but trying to improve the processes and how we do the enrolment processes, the even tiny things like dropping off the kids to occasional care, how they get picked up, cleaning, getting resources, the mundane things like coffee, tea, paper towels, like how we store things. I mean, it gave us a chance too to tidy a lot of things up at the centre and get things done. We put garden beds in, we put sand pits, we did a lot of works during the lockdown that normally we can't because the place is busy all the time. So I saw the opportunity, new whiteboards, new computers, whatever we needed, because no one was there. We could get work. That's if we could get the workers. But we got a lot of work done. So I think that it's like a reboot now. It's a restart. We've got good systems and processes like venue hirers, they have to have a COVID safe plan, how we check that. New childcare enrolments, we interview the kids, we interview the parents. So it gave us a chance to put, I often think that our place is like people talk about growth. I think about maturity, is that what I want to do is what we do, we make it better and better and higher quality. Is that, people talk about business and growth. I think about, because it is like a business, I think about maturity. I want to make us, number one, at the head of the sector and an exemplary organisation and what we represent through the awards that we've won. We won the Hobsons Bay Business Excellence Award in 2019. So I want to demonstrate to the sector and stakeholders that we excel at what we do. I don't want to get too big because then things get out of control. I want what we do to be the highest quality of what we do. We had a Victoria Registration of Qualifications, VRQA internal audit, where we came out 100% compliant, which is quite rare. The actual auditor had worked for 7 years, and she said she'd only ever seen one RTO that got 100% in her whole 7 years, so in doing audits. So that's my vision, and that's the vision I want to give the staff, is that what we do is absolutely 100% the highest quality. And I think that this break and the pandemic has allowed us to rethink, reset, and also develop our skills in problem solving. I mean, goodness me, the last 2 years have been like challenges, problem solving every 5 minutes. You know what? We get a problem at work. I get the team together. I say, how do we fix this? And they're beautiful. We come up with solutions to everything. So that's the benefit, I guess, of having, with every negative, there's a positive. So there are a lot of positives that have occurred to our centre, and I'm very proud of all the staff in our community.
That's amazing. It's amazing that, there's such a great support network for the people living in Hobsons Bay,
Yeah. No. And the funny thing is that I often think, what were these people doing without us? And I often think that, over the years since Joan Kerner got the old courthouse and put it across to a community centre, we've been really running now for 50 years. We've our 50th anniversary in a couple of years, but almost tens of thousands of people that have come through the doors of not only Joan Kerner House, but the other venues. I often think how proud I am to represent Joan Kerner and her work and her legacy into the future. And I'm sure she'd be very proud of what we're doing at our centre if she could be here today with us. She'd love it. And I'm very grateful and very proud of everybody and the community and the supporters too. The volunteers, parents, everybody. Yeah. It's been great.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for joining me today.
Been a pleasure.
So we're almost at the end of the podcast, but before we finish up, would you like to say a short message for any community members listening in or watching this podcast?
Yeah, I'd say that we're here. Google us. We've got a website. We've got our newsletter that comes out once a month. I've actually got one here. It lists all the activities we're doing, when the barbecue's on, when the morning teas, when the walking group's on. I've got 2,500 people on the email list. If you want to, just go to the website. You can get on our email list. We've got a Facebook, but we're here even just to drop in, have a cup of coffee. We've got notice boards with all the activities running around council. Everybody sends us their flyers on anything that's happening. You know, God, I think there's a power saving bonus where we've got a refund for people. We had Talia at reception doing that. We've got there's hundreds of activities, there's brochures, we've got flyers, we've got, as I said, we've got recycling initiative there, everything from X-rays to glasses to CDs. We've got a CD swap, we've got a book swap, we've got the newspapers come in, we've got the kitchen, tea, coffee, the garden bed that people use. So it's there, it belongs to you, it belongs to the community. We're supported, and the doors are always open. And I just invite anybody to come in, have a look, talk to the staff, see how you can become engaged or involved in some way. Either come to a program or a course, go on the walking group, become a volunteer. You can even be a committee member. So the opportunities are endless. Just drop in, and we're open all day during term holidays. So any day that a school's operating, we're operating, and we're more than happy to help anybody out there who wants to engage with us in any way or shape or form. Thank you.
Amazing. So if anyone would like to get in touch with us or learn more about Anecdo Speakers Bank too, you can connect with us on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter, or you can email us at speakersbank.anecdo.org.au or give us a call at 03 9687 7066. Bye for now and see you next time.
Thank you.